Hello and welcome. My name is Timothy Reeder-Wright. This is Gnostic Tarot Cards. Historical module, the Sun is the card that we're looking at. Thanks for coming by. Really what these are is, I went on Tarotpedia.com and saw that there's a actual line of presentation. So in the Continental Tarot, I wanted to show some of the alternative versions to just the Crowley and the Rider-Waite. So thanks for stopping by. This work is actually helped a lot by Christine Payne-Towler at Tarot University and Arc Letters. She has been a great inspiration to the site, and I wanted to bring her up again to let everybody know about tarotuniversity.com, where you can go to Arc Letters. She actually does something really cool on the full moon and new moons. She does a astrological chart and gives more information on what are the coming energies, not only for individuals but for us as a whole. So she's also an astrologer. But moving on, let's go ahead and look at the first slide. We have a good old sun looking figure from the Visconti Sforza deck. You can see that there's a winged male being right here. They have the wings. The land around is somewhat dark, so I don't know if this is a mess up in the actual card or if this is what they intended it to be. In the versions that I've looked at, like the Carriel, show kind of the same thing, but it may be that this dark winged creature is kind of blocking the city with the rays of the sun. You see that we kind of have the rays of the sun coming off, but it's a face. Not really sure what they represented in that, but that's the Visconti Sforza sun card. Next, we have the Charles VI card of the sun. Now, the woman is in a walled area. It's like a golden walled area, and it's showing a lot of youth here. Not only from the sewing, from the spindle and thread, but it's showing that she's very young. She has the blonde hair. She's looks like a maiden. She has this nice red dress, which shows red is always a desire color. So whenever you have the color red, it pretty much shows like desire. So we see that the sun is now taking a secondary focus. It's not even touched or anything. It's just kind of back there in the background in the blue sky at night. Next, we have the Ercole d'Est card. And now we see something different. The sun is like in the background of the dark. But look at the old man on the edge of the wine keg. Now, to me, this represents the Dionysian-like mysteries of wine. And then we have this youth here. So it's showing a little bit about how the Catonic or the Dionysian kind of ideologies are coming through in the Tarot as well. Next, we have the Parisian Tarot. And I wanted to bring this up because Christine talks about it in her book, The Underground Stream. But she's talking about the monkey, the ape, that's showing as a kind of looking glass, and what Gareth Knight called the looking glass. But I'm seeing the monkey kind of from the Wheel of Fortune card, the Hermanibus, that is there. I don't know if anybody thinks the same thing, but you also see the monkey has glasses, and it's kind of shadowed by a white light about it. So it looks like it has a dualistic kind of view here. But the sun shines down like always. Next, we have the Minichate Fiorentini. And now, these are the first lovers that we see in a constellation. You see, he is like loving on her, and she is feeling consoled. So it's showing that convivial love and the eros kind of going into the ideas of the sun. You see we have the city in the background. This is the first time we actually have a real city that's showing as kind of a good thing, as opposed to the dark city on the Visconti Sforza. You'll see the males in the purple, so it kind of represents royalty, and the females in green, which always represents nature. And the sun is shining. They're putting a lot of emphasis. Almost a half of the card is showing the shining example of kind of chivalry, or a love, that is royal and authentic, but it's also sexual. You see that she's not put up in this kind of motherly role. It's also sexual, and the man has a little bit of age on him, so it's not something that is kind of carnal in the same sense it is. So next we have the Metelli Tarot. Now this is obviously Apollo, and he has the lyre in his hand. One thing about the lyre is it's very, very indicative of the Hermeticism, especially of the Corpus Hermeticum. Now, Metelli is definitely kind of for the mythological, beautiful representation of God forms. You'll see through all of Metelli's cards, there's not really a lot of darkness. It's a lot of light, a lot of beauty as a focal point in those cards. Next thing we have here is the Marseilles. And I made a little joke here. It looks like the sun is full from too much dinner. If you look at the mouth, it's kind of like, oh, I don't know what's going on here. So I got that. But what I wanted to bring to your attention is that it could be an actual intentional, subtle thing. Because if you look at the sun, and it's obviously making kind of a reference to being full. It's also making a reference, it could be to food, because back in the times of the occultists in that time, Paracelsus was the top of the line. And he talked about alchemy being part of the digestive system. So you're seeing kind of the solar plexus potentially here with the thought forms that it throws off, but it's kind of full, so it could be showing that the sun is like a appetite kind of thing. Now also you have a obvious illumination coming here, because this person looks blind and unable to walk, and they're being helped. So you have the brotherly love kind of idea here, and kind of a paradisical amount, because there's walls around them as well. So it's showing kind of the sovereignty of these loving states a lot of times, and definitely goes into desire. The next card we have is from the Torico Siciliano, and this is a very wrathful scene. You see, this is not so nice. Then we have the red as the desire, the passion. The sun is not very happy right here. There's a cloud around, and you can also see there's like a field, so Christine says it's a lot about like Cain and Abel, and I think it's the same. Also, the sun could be the raw sun, and it could be a representation that's more Egyptian, focusing on the Egyptian kind of divinity versus the human Phoebes or whatever of the Semitics. So that definitely brings to mind a hatred, if anything else. But they're two males; they're not females. So it most likely is a brotherly love and a wrathfulness that they're trying to show is not very bright, not very sunlight, doesn't promote life. So it could be a morality thing. The next thing we got here is the Tarot of the Master Giovanni Vachetta. Now this is another Apollonian character with a musical instrument. This time it looks kind of like a violin. It doesn't look like the lyre. Now there's red lips though here, which represent a kind of beauty, maybe a love connection, or like a Dionysian kind of thing of drinking of wine, or it definitely brings desire in the lips, and it could represent a lot of expression, because we have sound, we have beautiful lips, we have the sun. So we're talking about like expression and the use of the word to illuminate around. We also have the fields of, I think they're fields of wheat here in a bale, kind of representing the Persephone like characters and a lot of the Eleusinian, to me anyway. You can see what you want. The next thing we show here is going way forward in the 1900s. We got El Gran Tarot Esoterico, and you can see that we have Pisces at the bottom of the rock, and then there's 3 serpents that are intertwined. Could represent the channels. We definitely have the green, the blue, and the red. So the green is going up the middle, and then we have the red and the blue kind of intersecting with each other. Very much could be the 3 Hindu, Ida Pingala and Shushimna. But we also have the 2 characters here, and they seem to be sitting in kind of a forlorn place. While these drops are coming down, they're in a very forlorn looking era. But next we have Etteilla, and this is the Grand Etteilla. The sun is actually separate, so this is definitely something that was meant to be looked at as like a celestial ideal, because this like kind of cosmicness is being illuminated here. Now you also see that we have the gold sun, but we have a red star, a 5-pointed star in the middle of that sun. This is the first time we're seeing something like this, and this is the times of Etteilla. So the next thing we show are these 2 beings in kind of an embrace, or I don't know, they could be sumo wrestlers, but I'm thinking more if it's an embrace. We have the male and the female, and also we have like a kind of churchy steeple kind of temple like area. They call it passion, so they could be fighting and they could be loving, but it's tying it to like an enlightenment. Next thing we have here is the Brotherhood of Light, Fratros Lucas, and it's definitely showing marriage here. You can see that they're hand-fasted. They are hand-fasted, and then there's a sign with a circle and a line protruding. This is what I wanted to talk about. In the Semitic Kabbalah of Isaac Luria, they talk about this being what's called the Simsum. The power behind the sun is with a line through it. It's showing that the divine went down into the material, and that's how it deposited. Now this could be a sperm going into an egg, because we have the marriage here and the circular kind of showing a union, but I'm thinking it's more like the Simsum, the power behind the sun, which is the dot in the middle of the circle, coming through as a line, sharing its power and divinity with the rest of the generative kind of forces, because we have Ankhs here and we also have the stars, so it's showing a little bit of like a life kind of environment with the fruits and the wheat, so it's definitely bringing attention to the lighter aspect. Now here's the Paul Christian statement from the Fratros Lucas. Remember, child of earth, that the light of mystery is formidable force, which nature places at the service of the will. It illuminates those who know how to handle it, but it strikes down those who are ignorant of its power or who abuse it. And now this is something that we've been seeing as a theme throughout the cards. So it shows a little bit of the authenticity of the Fratros Lucas. It shows that the illumination exists within the tarot. And it also shows that it strikes down who are ignorant of the power or who abuse it. Like the Cain and Abel stuff we saw. Or the Visconti Sforza of the cherub who's kind of with the dark wings. And it's holding the sun almost as a hostage over the city. And it's not allowing it. So we're seeing a lot of this kind of in this presentation today. The next thing I wanted to show was a little bit more modern. We have the Pappas Tarot from the Divinatory Tarot, and this is his work with the Book of Thoth of Atella. It was a manuscript that he had, and this was translated into English. And so they're showing the sun here. These are kind of like the children we see in the Reeder-Wright. We have now a specific time in the time of Pisces, so they're getting a little bit more clinched down on the ideas of what time it is in each card. Also, he says the true light as a description of this card. It's important because you see the sun is barely showing in this one. They're definitely showing ideas of friendship, ideas of love, ideas of connection. We have the cross on the archaeometer, and they're showing more of the human connection being the true light, the one that fosters life and growth and generation. Next thing we have is the Manly Hall Nap Tarot. We're seeing another marriage ceremony. The sun is definitely taking a larger role here. We see it's taking up almost half of the card. There's drops of gold coming down. Red roses in the circle, and it's a walled area. So what we're seeing now is a blessing of the sun and the golden drops coming from marriage. So you see that it's really promoting the monogamy kind of thing, or hand-fasted union with both hands there, and then they're behind each other, kind of embracing the cord that comes out from behind. But that's just my interpretation. But the next thing we have here is a Tavaligone Tarot of the Stars, and we're showing the union of the male and female as the intent of the word sun for Tavaligone. It's showing a definite emphasis not on really the genders, but the polarities. So the sun could definitely be the power that's behind the polarities, and that would start to correspond with what we show in the mystery schools of the Keter, and then you have the Hokmah and Bina. You have the fiery male pillar and the downward watery female pillar. In the middle you have the sun, or the bright light that comes out of the center. I don't know if this is Tavaligone, he put himself in the picture, but this is definitely something to look at. Again, we have Pisces here, so we also have the walled area around. And this could mean that marriage is a sacred place that we don't want to let others into. That this is a sacred place of sovereignty for the two powers and the polarities that are involved within. Although that could be my marital ideologies, but it certainly looks like that now from Tavaligone's point of view. And next we have a sort of treat for the viewers. This is Christine Payne Towler's Tarot of the Holy Light, illustrated by Michael Dowers. And she included this in the presentation. I asked her what she would want to say, and she said, notice that Apollo and the people are outside of the walled garden instead of in it. That's different than Tavaligone. But Apollo is going into the underworld with his lyre, and it's Pisces. As you can see in her tarot, you have the astrological symbols right on the cards, and it says he's the only one who can defeat the darkness, which he does with music and laughter. So you see that we have the embrace here, and also the power of the sun over the male. So it's really representing a male kind of force in Christine's tarot. But it's really beautiful, because if you look here, they're on like an island and they're surrounded by water. So that is definitely something that I wanted to bring to attention. Christine didn't talk about that, but they are outside of the walled area. They definitely made that the passion happens outside of the safety and boundaries of, it could be psychologically that we need to make a risk, we need to go outside of our comfort zone and share the loving energy that's within us, not only with each other as a male, female, and these are not genders, these are polarities. So the active and receptive, or the active and receptive. But we're also showing that these principles happen outside of the norm, outside of potentially the ego, which has created its cocoon. So I really like the Tarot, the Holy Light. You can go to tarotuniversity.com and find out more information. You can purchase it. There's a signed copy you can grab. And then also, these pictures are available in the iTunes app. So you can go to iTunes and pick up that. I didn't get any money or promotion from this. This is just to help out a friend who has been involved with Tarot study for many, many, many years. And this is a great deck. And I'm sure if you love Tarot and alchemy and all these topics we talk about at Gnostic Tarot Cards, you'll really enjoy this deck. Okay, well, that concludes the semi-historical presentation of the Sun card. You can always come by YouTube and subscribe. Visit us on Facebook, Twitter, network blogs, and I gotta change that. It's actually WordPress blog now that we put on to the actual site for you techies that love it. We're not going to be tied down to any kind of software platform except for WordPress itself. So I was glad that you got to stop by and listen to this little snippet on the history of the Sun card, and hope it was informative.